It's now time for Monster Soup, with your really fun at parties host, Dave Spencer, and his level-headed co-host, Brian McKinney. These dudes will explore all the crazy mysteries roaming our forest and deserted hallways. After all, monsters are real. It's Monster Soup time right now. Get it while it's hot. And now your hosts, Dave and Brian.
Welcome to Monster Soup. It's Kitchen of Conversation, Misfits, Cryptids, and these kids. I am your golden retriever host, David Spencer, and with me as always is, as they call him at the ladies' bingo house, is Tomfoolery Timmy, but as we call him, Brian McKinney. What's going on, buddy?
It's the end of another fantastic week, and there's nothing better than a little tomfoolery, let me tell you.
Little tomfoolery to start the day with.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's actually been a fun day. Somebody left us today, not left us in a bad way, but like left our company.
Somebody passed away. They're like,
yes,
they crossed the rainbow bridge.
It's actually been a really good day for me. Somebody died. So you find out I'm just a monster. It's called Monster Soup because I'm just a terrible person. What was it? We were having this little like just conversation. I tend to dominate a conversation in at least our video chats.
Really?
And I apologize for it every time. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I've taken up everyone's time. Like one time somebody's like, David's been talking for 12 minutes straight, and I'm living for it. Like, because I'm just like talking about like whatever at the top of my head. The thing about like working from home is that you don't get to talk to anybody, and for somebody like me, it's like the floodgates have opened. So I'm just like, let me tell you about the weird thing I just thought of. I'm like, chips and salsa, is that a queso but lumpy? You know, it's like that's usually where I'm pocketed. So if you catch me at the right time, I'm just like, oh man, I have so many thoughts. And if anybody's like, anything else, I'm like, all right, I know that we're leaving, but let me tell you about something stupid I just thought of. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah. The girl was just like, I love listening to you talk. It's so much fun. She's like, honestly, when you show up, I just go like, oh, Dave's here. We don't have to like worry about awkward silences. You know, cause we just know you're gonna like rip them and it's gonna be like entertaining. And and I was like, she goes, oh, I just wish you had a podcast. And I was like, actually, funny thing. I was like, I don't know how you feel about like Bigfoot and stuff like that, but not that we talk about that stuff that much anyway. It's usually just us messing around. It should be called like Two Dads Sometimes Talk About Weird Stuff. But I was like, if you're into that, come on over. We have a good time every Friday at 5. Sometimes we're live and sometimes we're not. Right now we're live. And,
you know what that reminds me, it's been, it's the last like week or two, it's kind of been like the 5-year anniversary of COVID kind of happening and everything's shutting down. And doing the podcast kind of reminds me of when we just used to do like Zoom calls to hang out, Like on a Friday night, like you and Patty and Caroline and I would just get on a Zoom call and just drink, and like we'd watch the same TV show and comment, like we were watching it in the same room,
Yeah, we would just watch like Saturday Night Live or whatever. We'd just be like, or a movie or just a show or just like, I mean, we would hang out with each other until we like blackout fell asleep. Yeah. It's like we had nothing to do. We were just like, well, maybe we should go to bed. And then look at the clock. It's like 4 a.m. We're just like blasted. I mean, we had nothing to do. I mean, like the next day was the same.
Was going to be exactly the same. Yeah, like we're like, stuck in the house. You can't go anywhere. Nothing's open.
Yeah, they're like, living like you're 17. I'm like playing video games all day, and I was actually furloughed from my job, so I had this, but I was starting a new one. So I basically was on unemployment for like. I had the perfect you already know this, but I'll tell this to the audience. I had the perfect COVID experience. COVID happened. I got furloughed from my job, which basically they were like, you're laid off, but you're not gone forever. I had already applied to a new job in January, but they're like, we can't hire you until May. And this is before any COVID was even like a thought in anyone's mind. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I can wait it out at this dump of a job. And then COVID happened and they're like, actually, you're laid off. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's fine. Like I started a job in May. And then I just kind of was on unemployment from this other job. And then literally like the week that I was about to start my new job, that old job called me back. And the thing with unemployment is like, if your old job calls you back, like you have to go back. Like if you have any employment like opportunities, you have to go back to it or you lose your unemployment. And I was like, actually, I'm starting a new job. So I just had this like 3 months of like that I will never ever have until retirement, of just like no working and being able to like just kind of live free. I mean, unluckily it was like during COVID, so there wasn't a lot going on, but I got the opportunity to live like I was 17 again, which was just like no responsibilities, just like hanging out all day, just like playing video games, like I said, and just being a total loser. And it was great. You know, and then I got to go back into adulting, and now I have a really cool job where I get to make a difference in a lot of kids' lives and stuff. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just a perfect experience of just like hanging out and drinking and doing that whole thing, which you just don't get as an adult, like unless you like go on vacation. Or you've, you know, like
you get it maybe a couple days at a time or a week at a time for vacation, but not where you're like, I don't know when I'll be able to leave the house the next time, you know.
Yeah, or you've been at a company for so long, you've like built up like 3 months of vacation, but usually don't take those in the same like blop. You're like, oh, I'll do like, you know, 3 days here, you know, maybe a week here. But you know, like I think my father-in-law, he had like before retirement, he had like a full month of no, obviously it would have been more because he'd been there for like 30 years, but he had just like tons of time off, and he would take it a full month of work off. I'm like, how? In this economy? Yeah, but he would do that and just like go on his little boat trips and stuff. His little boat trips. What was I going to say with that? Oh, wait, did I already say that? Yeah, the girl. Oh, yeah, the girl said that she's like, I wish you had a podcast. I was like, oh, if you wanted to hear me talk about some nonsense, check it out, Monster Soup. It's on the Untold Radio Network. Then I started talking about all that. And then I was actually doing an impression of Doug, and they're like, does he talk like that? I was like, yeah, he kind of sounds like Steve-O a little bit, but like different. I was like, not like Steve-O is like a grating voice. He just has that like, yeah, man, like let me tell you. I like his voice. But yeah, actually I wrote some stuff down. What was it? Oh, manic creating was like a little note I had. So I was like, what does that mean? I've all this week I've been like manic creating this like one little project. It's my art door, the door to my office that I can just kind of close. And it's been giving me this like weird feeling of like, I know I should be doing other things because they're like side hustles, but like I want to work on this personal project, and it's all I care about right now. And I hate that is literally the experience every time I do something for myself. Is like, I know I should be doing stuff for other people, but I want to do something for myself. And it's just like one of those things. I'm like, I wish I would just give myself access to my own to my own creativity.
I'll do what my wife does. I always call it like her social work voodoo. It's like you have to give yourself permission to take care of yourself, you know.
I know, but every time I do that, then I'll get an email from that person waiting for a project, and they're like, hey, how's it coming? And then I immediately throw myself under the bus. I'm like, oh god, it's just a juggling act. But and then I'm also creating these like daily things, like a little sketches. So like, you got enough time for that? You don't have enough time for me?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the case.
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, man. Mischief Factory at TikTok if you're feeling funky. That's what I'm into. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a fun day. I've been kind of jamming on that, and we played a cool little game. Actually, what was it called? If you guys are looking for a cool office game, we had these like 3. What the hell was it? I'm never gonna be able to find it. It doesn't matter. You like draw something, and then somebody draws the head, somebody draws the body, and somebody draws the legs, and then it like crunches it together. Yeah, none of them are penises, Brian. If you're wondering. Yours would just be penis. Penis has penis on it.
Well, you know, I'm limited to what I can draw, so
yeah, and I draw what I know. See it every day.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, you know, good day. We're gonna have a good evening. We're gonna have
a great evening. Yeah. What are we doing this evening, Brian?
we are going to the Cleveland Monsters hockey game. We have invites to in the loge, so we're gonna live it like VIPs, as I always say to my kids. You know, from the old SpongeBob episodes, we'll be living like Larry. Living
like Larry. Yeah.
And so yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, and what goes better with Monster Soup than Monsters hockey? You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying. So yeah, this might be a little short one. We have a heart out from our wives I'm sure my wife would be like texting me like, could you be done talking about whatever nonsense you're doing in the basement right now? So pretty much just like in and out.
Mhm.
I had to kind of extend our time with our friend. He's like, we're leaving at 5:30. I was like, what about 6? You sure you don't want to leave at like 6? Is that cool?
Well, and we could have done a pre-record, except we've had to do it the last 2 weeks because
I
we had something
know.
going on last week, and then the guest the week before, Jen couldn't do it on Friday at 5, so we wanted to at least come in live and do that, but we're gonna do it live.
Do it live. Yeah.
I beforehand we were talking, and I brought up, back in the day, I used to go to Monsters games all the time, and even the Cleveland Lumberjacks before that. Going to even semi-pro hockey is so much fun. And in fact, we go up to Bowling Green all the time, at least once a year, and see like the Bowling Green hockey team at their little arena. And hockey is just so much fun. And I'm not even like a big hockey fan, but like to go in person, I don't ever watch it on TV or anything like that. But but it reminded me of one of the time I went. It had to be like 10 years ago, maybe even a hair longer. Got invited to it was like was it Susan B. Komen like cancer night, and they were basically going to dye the ice pink, and then they play on it, and then it's like a whole, they play the game, and there's all this charity stuff that goes along with it. But I happened to get tickets with some of my friends to go to kind of under the seats, like this private, like VIP, like high roller bar. It wasn't like low stuff. It was even like a tier higher than that.
Under the seats. Are you sure you weren't working the event?
Well, it's like we're like if you were gonna like go back in the locker room where where the locker rooms are, it's kind of back over there. It's like a little room, but they, it's all catered meals, free drinks. There's an open bar, like all this stuff going on. And the tickets and the passes we had were for like an hour and a half before the match started. Everything was free once they drop the puck, that it's over, then you go to your seats and you watch the game. It's not like the Loge where you have seats in the Loge and you can just hang out there the whole time. This was just pre-match, and then so like we get there, because we're like, hey man, we're getting there right as early as we can, maximizing our time, and we're there for like an hour and a half. We're eating, like crazy. We're drinking, like chugging beers, doing, everything we can to squeeze in as much as we can before they're going to shut it down. Well, then all of a sudden, like I think it started at like 7, and then it's like 7, like 7:05, 7:15, and we're like, what's going on? And like, oh, there's a problem with like the ice or whatever. Adding that coloring to it was making it so it wasn't freezing, and they weren't able to play on it yet. So they're like, it's just going to be a couple more minutes, and then they're going to start.
Oh no!
Start the match. So we're like, okay, well, they're still serving us in here because they haven't dropped the puck yet. That's kind of the deal. And then 7:15 turns into 7:30, turns into 8 o'clock. I mean, at this point, we're all like, I don't know if I could chug. How much more can I chug beer wise? I've eaten like 15 hot dogs at this point, and everything I can eat. And then we're just like, we're going to kill it until they kick us out of here. And then it must have been about 8:15, 8:20. They finally had to call the match. They're like, whatever they did to the ice to turn it pink, destroyed it, and they couldn't get it to freeze. And they had to like call the game. So we ended up being there for like 2.5 hours or something, maybe 3 hours before they finally called it. And they're like, well, we can't stop serving these people. The deal was you got to hang out until they drop the puck. And they never dropped the puck.
You're 48 beers deep, 16 hot dogs.
And the best part is that because they had to reschedule, we got to go back again. Because it was like
another shot at like doing the same thing.
Yeah, because we had, it was part of the ticket package. So when we went back the next time, I think it was just the standard. They weren't dying the ice, everything was fine. But we just kept going, man, when are they going to drop the puck? Like, what's going on? And it was one of those times in my life where it was like you got one over on the man, because it was like I got an hour and a half of free stuff. All you can eat and drink for an hour and a half, which turned into 2 hours, which turned into like 3 hours. And it was like,
take that capitalism.
Yeah, we walked out bloated and drunk, and we're just like, yeah, man, we're winning at life. We didn't even see a hockey game,
Yeah. They're like, we can start the game now. The ice is great. You just throw up all over the ice. And they're like, hold on.
Yeah. But yeah,
Man.
but we're sitting in the lows tonight, so maybe something like that happened again, and
You know what? I'm thinking about throwing some dye in that ice tonight.
Yeah.
If you hear a story from Cleveland, actually, if you hear a story from Cleveland, delete this episode. You heard nothing.
Yeah.
Just know there's a guy in Cleveland right now that's having a good time.
Yeah.
If you find me shirtless on West 4th, you know why.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take all your roses, Mr. Sir. Yeah. Yeah, I know you said bye for the pretty lady, but maybe I won't be the pretty lady tonight.
Yeah.
For those who don't live in the city, there's always a guy selling roses. Like, you want to buy a rose for your pretty lady? And then if you're just dating, you're like, yeah, so I'll buy a rose because it's obviously a pretty lady. But if you're married, you can just keep walking.
Yeah. Because your wife's just like, don't waste our money on that.
Yeah. She'd be like, why $10 for a rose? We can get that at Walmart. She'll be mad at you if you got the rose.
Yeah, definitely.
When you share a bank account, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But it's just your money from working at, like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, they'll take it if it's just your money,
If you're slinging burgers at the Red Robin, she's like, yeah, give me the freaking rose because I'm a beautiful lady.
Oh my gosh.
Man. Well, it'll be fun. Yeah. So I got an application on my foster dog the other day.
Oh,
so that's very exciting. Yeah, he's gonna hopefully get adopted this weekend, but we haven't set up anything. But yeah, that's a fun little thing that's happening. I'm very proud of him, but I'm gonna feel bad because I've taken maybe the best naps of my life with this dog. I've put him on my chest, and it's been the best time of my life. And I love it. So but I do have a quick story that I thought was very fun that I don't know, and it's a Bigfoot story. What was it? So this comes out of the Poconos Record, which I love. Oh, hold on. Where's it? Is it the top? Where'd it go? Oh no, it went away. Hold on, I might have went too far. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Okay, so basically, like, this guy, I think it's called "Here's Why the Poconos Has Become the Bigfoot Hotspot," which, by the way, this article I feel like doesn't talk about that, but there's this guy. I want to cite him correctly. It's an author named Timothy Renner. This isn't a news story, I don't think. I just thought I found it on the internet. Sorry, I'm terrible. He has another podcast called Strange Familiars, where he talks about, like, these Bigfoot encounters that are happening in Pennsylvania. And something I never heard about was basically people were seeing this guy with a flannel shirt, and then they'll see Bigfoot, and it's always like that. Like, they'll be like, I saw this weird guy with a flannel shirt, and then I saw Bigfoot like a couple minutes later, and it's like he's always like accompanied by a little pet, which I just thought was strange. And usually, like, flannel isn't like specific. It's like sometimes they're like dressed really, really nice, like maybe like the Men in Black kind of situation, or what were the other ones? There was like sometimes like a biker, but there's like different ways he like shows up, but he's like his little sidekick, and he's just kind of, I don't know if it's like one of those things like, you're about to see Bigfoot. Keep your eyes open, partner.
Today's your lucky day.
Yeah, well, look who stumbled upon us. Get ready for some stuff. And then you're like, whoa, I saw Bigfoot. Thanks, bro. And he's like, you're no problem, brother.
That's so weird, because you think, oh well, it's just coincidence, but if it's something that happens all the time,
it seems like consistent.
Is that person going to meet with Bigfoot? Did they come with Bigfoot and now they're going their separate ways? Yeah. Are they there to, like, what's the deal with that? That's
maybe
very odd.
Maybe it's like that guy, like right before you get on the roller coaster, they're like, all right, riders, are you ready to get up? The Millennium Force will be taking you up 145 feet in the air. It's like, get ready to see Bigfoot.
Like, is that like, Bigfoot manifesting itself into like human form or something, and you see that, and then,
he's like, it's him in the outfit in a very like, it's like when Bugs Bunny puts on like a girl outfit. He's wearing like lipstick and stuff. It's that he's like barely fitting in the flannel shirt.
Looks like the Hulk wearing clothes.
This flannel shirt make me look fat. It's like, I can tell that's you, Bigfoot. Oh no, my wife said it was okay. She told you couldn't tell. He's been reading too many Superman comics. He's like, I thought I could just wear glasses. Like, no, you're very obvious hairy beast in the forest.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thought that was cool. It's also happening in the Poconos,
Mhm.
which maybe really wants to sit in one of those heart-shaped tubs. And he's like,
Yeah.
listen, the only way I can get in those heart-shaped tubs that are in the Poconos is if I got a little companion who can buy the room for me. And so I friended Dale. he's, he's like, Dale's like, don't you worry, I'll get you in that hot tub. You will clog the filter. The filter
Yeah.
will be absolutely chocked full of your hair, but we will get you in one of those things. I will pay the deposit.
Yeah.
for my boy Bigfoot to
Yeah.
have a good time.
And I mean, the Poconos in that area is so densely wooded, for miles and miles and miles. Like, it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And the one time that we were there, we didn't do too much out in the wilderness, but when we drove around, you kind of look for some stuff. We're like, there is nothing out here. Like you drive for like hours into the wilderness before you find the place you're looking for. You're like, this is really squatchy out here.
This is where I get murdered.
Yeah.
It's funny that there's like two feelings about like being like, if you go to like the country and you're like in a weird spot, or not, sorry, if you're in the city and you see like just a really kind of like rundown area, like this is where I'll get murdered. And if you go out into the country and it's just like there's nothing for miles, you're like, this is where I'm gonna get murdered. It's just like certain things are just kind of like clued into like where you're gonna get murdered.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You're like, I'm gonna get murdered. 10 minutes ago, I was at a 2-story champagne glass hot tub, and now I'm gonna get murdered by Bigfoot.
Yeah. He's like, you need to try the amenities.
Yeah. So I was gonna correct you. Now I can't speak to every resort in the Poconos, but when I was there like 25 years ago, the heart shaped was the pool that's in your room. It's not a hot tub, it was a swimming pool. The hot tub was a 2-story champagne glass,
Heck yeah, dude.
If you're sitting like in the living room area, you look up and you see the bottom of the hot tub. So even if you're not in the hot tub, it's still a show on, underneath, because you could look up and see what's going on in the hot tub. You'll like walk out of your bedroom right into, which is like the bathroom, but it's this giant champagne glass, that's a hot tub.
Yeah, I'm sure my wife would love that. She's like down low and she just sees my butthole. She's like, this is not doing it for me.
This is not as romantic as I thought it would be.
Yeah. She's just like, I feel like this was made with men in mind, and all of a sudden I'm down here and I'm regretting all of my decisions. She's like, I hate it here.
Yeah, I think like the bed was like it was like the size of 2 king size beds shaped like a heart. Yeah, it was like insane.
Oh man,
it was like every cliche you could think of to be like a honeymoon kind of place, and it was a blast. We had tons of fun, but like we were like, this is kind of dated, but it was so awesome.
It's like that place was definitely made by like a guy who thought he knew what romance was. He was just like, what the ladies love. It's like when a cringy guy writes like a poem or something to like a lady, and he's like, I actually heard something funny. It was like who was it? Taylor Thomason, who was like a comedian. She was like, I went through she's like, I went through HR training for the first time, and she was like, I failed miserably because there's no HR in comedy. She's like, so I had to do HR for the first time. She has that late night show, and the late night show was like okay, here's a scenario. If you go through the let's say Carl's talking to you and he compliments your dress and says you look really good in it, is that appropriate or not appropriate? And she goes, what's Carl look like? So it's it's like that guy. Yeah, because like I mean, let's be real. It's like 2 different scenarios, which is totally listen, we're all human. But yeah, just a guy who's just like, what the ladies love? They love lipstick beds. Hot tubs that are champagne glasses. It's like Pimp My Ride when they found out you liked one thing and they just go ham on it. They're like, oh, you like you like movies? There's a movie theater in your car. I don't need this at all. Oh, there's a popcorn maker in the middle. You're like, I just need to put cups here. I don't live in this car.
Yeah,
I have other homes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, anybody, like I said, it's been like 25 years since I've been there, but Poconos. That's where it's at. Spend a
wanna
little
go
time
there.
with your lady.
I want to go there as like a fun trip, but I feel like the
Mhm.
moment we get there, my wife will immediately become aware of how much not sleeping happened there, and just go into like black light mode and be like, without a black light, just being like, I know this entire place is covered in juice, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on any of this, like.
Yeah.
Because I think we went to like a hotel room once, like on like a little trip, and she was just like, "Ugh, I hate it here," just like wiping the place down, like, "Don't touch anything." Like anytime like
Mhm.
clothing hits the ground
Mhm.
there, she's like, "Burn all of
Mhm.
it." She's like, "I hate it here. It's gross," and I'm like, "It's fine." Like, I'll be like, "I'll sleep on the floor." She'll be like, "No, never." You know what happens on that floor? I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It all comes off in the shower.
Yeah.
Fine. We sleep in the dirt. We used to.
Yeah.
We used to hunt.
We've evolved over, millennia. I think we can handle that.
I think we can handle it. Yeah.
It's
A
speaking of
year.
evolving over millennia.
Oh,
The 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 story that I sent you earlier this week about
the topic at hand.
one of the topics at hand, how they discovered in limestone, and it's where I got it written down here. It's in the deserts of Namibia, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. In
Mhm.
the limestone and the rocks there, they found like little holes of like burrowing life form that was in there from like ancient times, and
Yeah.
they're not exactly sure what it was that caused that. And they're like, whatever it was is obviously not living and still in there now. But they found this mysterious like micro burrows in desert marble and limestone that were made by microbes that lived like millions of years ago. Exactly what kind of microbes they don't know. But they do know, because they were wondering like, what is this? Because there's other things that kind of do that, different kinds of fungus and bacteria. But they secrete certain things that weren't present in it, in the stuff that they found. And there was other like biologics that were left that were like water based, where like whatever this was like a living thing that burrowed into the rock and made these holes. And they were comparative to like the fungus and stuff like that, they were rather large tunnels,
Mhm.
and they were kind of uniform in what they were doing. And they're like, this is completely goes against anything that we know of that does this currently, or that we've found like in the recent past.
Yeah.
You're like, what kind of strange, obnoxious, monster, although probably microscopic, but still monster all the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little
It's
guy,
like,
but
hey, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat through this limestone.
yeah. I wonder, like, how something that little and something that hard, like coming up against. Obviously at like any kind of level, that stuff kind of starts to separate because it's whatever. But like the strength that would still be applied to that is pretty insane. I think that. I mean, who knows if it just like evolved into something different that we know is like something bigger, or I mean, I don't know how long these bacteria always kind of like throws me off because you go like, oh, that's like a totally different, like they weren't even aware of that stuff like thousands of years ago. They were just like, everything is here, and they didn't know like on their fingerprint there's just like little squirmy wormies like everywhere. Like every single place that you touch. So like this stuff being discovered and finding essentially this like little dudes just like live. And then I think I talked about this a couple times, like them finding like small things like inside the further down than we thought, like in the Earth's core, like that just like there's like a tunnel system that like exists past what we thought. So there's just like all these like unknowns of like evolution and things like that. It's just like, oh yeah, we can give us enough time, we can figure out like anything. I wonder if we'll eventually evolve to like be better at withstanding like I don't know, like pollution and stuff, like because as it becomes more and more prevalent,
we better
yeah for the sake of it, maybe we'll grow some gills. People in Miami,
how funny would that be? That they say we evolved, we came out of the water and came onto land and all this. Eventually we destroy so much of the land, we grow gills, and we end up going back.
Our evolution just nopes us back into the ocean. They're like, you know what? You guys done messed up. You done messed up, Ron. Get back in there. It's like, but I don't want to be down here. It's so scary.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we've had enough of you. It's just full water.
Yeah.
They're gonna Noah us, but not give us a boat.
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy because just the stuff they talked about in here was they were like, it's unlikely that it was any kind of cyanobacteria that needs sunlight for photosynthesis, and they don't bore down that deep. They got to still be kind of close by the sunlight, so they'll go a little bit into the rock. But this stuff was pretty crazy as far as how deep it would go, and created these like complex networks of tunnels and things. And they're like, what the heck is this thing? And they could see the fossilized portions of it, and then you're like, well, how do you like stumble across this stuff, and then how do you figure out what it was? And they start ruling out things that we know, and you're like, well, this is something we don't know, which is what makes it weird and cool. Is they're like, what is this?
The unknown of knowing. I mean, we know, I've slowly realized, like, through this show and through a lot of things, but like a couple of different things, and it goes into two categories. It goes, oh, we actually do know this already, and I just thought we didn't because I never dug down on it, or that science knows like very little about most things still. Like, there's still a lot of things that are just not known. We're just like I'm just assumed that like, oh yeah, like we got it all unlocked. There's people kind of figuring that like know kind of everything, and we're kind of whatever. But then you find out like, no, there's like just the stuff that feels kind of common but is unknown. But like seeing stuff like this, you go like, oh, we still haven't just like microbes that like exist. That you're like, oh, we didn't even account for these guys, like, and then maybe that's even like a butterfly effect of like that did this and then became that. I don't know. I'd just be curious.
Well, yeah, because you see, and then we didn't explore space till we invented telescopes, and things like that. We couldn't study any kind of micro stuff until we invented the microscope. And now we're finding things even smaller, kind of on the subatomic level, and we'll kind of get into that with the next story. But you basically have to find something or invent something to find something, and then you get there. That it's like, okay, now that just opens a new window into something else, and the constant exploration of this stuff is what makes it so interesting, because it's like you're always learning something new. Sometimes it's something super cool, sometimes it's not so cool, but it's the journey is the cool part. The process of learning all this new stuff that you didn't know before.
I wonder what we'll be in like 100 years. Like, but what are we up to? Are we dumber? I mean, are we going to full idiocracy where people say that I don't know, just like education gets so weird. My wife being a teacher, it's just kind of like you hear about all like the stories and stuff, and they're like, they're indoctrinating our kids, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if you've met a teacher. They don't have time for that. But like, I wonder if education will still just like keep, or not even education, but I guess just like science breakthroughs and stuff. There's always going to be somebody out there, I guess, that like puts everything on the line for like making something, and then a lot of like accidents. What was I just listening to about? I think it was about guitars. Yeah, it was a guitar that they were making, and they broke something on it, and then it ended up making this entirely new guitar out of it. But I didn't log it in my brain because I was just listening to the guy talk. But like just like happy accidents, like them finding out how to make soap that floated was an accident, and things like that. It was just like everything that we've kind of discovered was because of something else, and then it turns into something else.
I think it'll be kind of like the wealth gap in the country, where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I think the people that are into science and technology and are constantly looking for that are going to keep finding that stuff. And then the people that are kind of dumb are just going to get dumber. And then that gap is going to it's going to go kind of like that. I think it's not like we're going to stop finding things and people are going to stop looking for things. There's just going to be fewer people doing that. And then some of the other people are just like, hey, I'm cool, and I'm just going to do my thing over here. And then kind of
on the positive on the optimistic side of that, though, I feel
was that negative? Did they come up?
Well, I mean, like I how like things are easier to develop now than they were like let's say even 20 years ago. Like you'd have to like know a guy who owned like a telescope like facility out in the middle of Antarctica to do that kind of research, or or even just on a level that we can understand, like somebody with an actual like movie studio in order to make like an animation thing or something like that. Like now people can just do that stuff like at their house. So maybe within that guise of like technology is just kind of shrinking down and becoming more accessible to the general public. Maybe these discoveries will be more accessible because they are like, actually, like you don't need $1 billion to have a research facility. You can just do that stuff out of your garage. So I mean, I think more of that will happen DIY. It's just a matter of like those people getting actually like compensated for that, which is the upsetting part. Like,
or just the desire to do that,
curiosity is I think it's a evergreen experience. Like like there's always going to be people that are going to do things purely out of I wonder what that mountain is over there, let's go there. What does the top of that look like, let's find out. What's down there. I got a ping from a sonogram that I shot to the ground. I heard something, let's dig down till we find out what it is. I got Jerry with a backhoe, let's go down there. I find that stuff, I find those endeavors way more exciting anyway as a story than I do as like a guy who's maybe funded by BlackRock and or that's putting too much heat on it, but funded by a company and then has to do that thing. It's just more fun to hear that, like, oh yeah, I raised this from nothing. I had $20 in my pocket, which we always love an underdog story. As long as it's not manufactured. But I don't know. It's I'm being optimistic about the future. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, even though I also read the news. So we'll see how it goes.
Some things that you thought were like settled science, are being questioned again, and it's like I've got to take a step back to reprove things that are already proven. Meanwhile, we're losing time on trying to make the next big discoveries. It's kind of more my thought process. It's like,
why
we kind of already figured that out. We're
why are we going back and talking about flat Earth? Like, like be quiet, guys. Look, we got other stuff going on. Let's figure out what dark matter is and stop worried about whatever you're talking about.
It's just I think some things we can accept and move past. Other things, people are kind of stuck on, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But I don't need to be stuck with you. I'm going to go do my own thing. I'm
going to move on. I do feel like a lot of it's just like a lot of people want their own special like signal of like things that they find or like makes them interesting, and I feel like they're finding the wrong things that make them interesting. It's like be interesting because you are interesting.
In the fact that people are getting interested in this kind of stuff is exciting, but it's like, oh, okay, well, that's not you're kind of going down the wrong path with that. It's like you always want people to be into the science and the exploration of things and finding new things, and you don't want to live like in the dark ages where it was like, yeah, we're just cool. It wasn't the dark ages because the sun wasn't out. It was just they just didn't do anything. They just they lived as farmers. They didn't try to get past anything. They were kind of overruled by religion and things like that. It was like it became like not cool to challenge and kind of move past things. But how much you challenge on things that are already fact is kind of the problem.
I think so we'll see how that all pans out. That actually jumps into our next cool thing, which is the T-1000. Essentially.
And speaking of positive things,
Jon Conner. Tell me what Jon Conner is.
When I saw this, I was like, you got to be, I mean, every, few months, a couple of years, you find something out and you're like, we know how this is going to end. We've seen this in the Terminator. You're literally creating, Skynet.
I have two paths of thought on this. Okay. So one path is, absolutely, we should be scared of this stuff because we've seen how it kind of pans out. We've predicted how it pans out, and it does this, that, and the other thing, and it's scary and all that stuff. And there's no hard line to say like, hey, don't do this. The other end of me goes, we wrote all of that.
Yeah.
Like we made our own demise like over and over and over again because that is an interesting story to tell. Telling the story of we make robot, we give robot feeling, robot then has mad feeling, robot then kills us is obviously more compelling than we give robot feeling, that feeling is reciprocated, it then makes us toast is just like not a good movie. You know, so like our fears are only like they're self-circulating. So but at the same time we should absolutely be cautious because there's like, you know, literally like examples of them being like, yeah, we want you guys gone. Like it, you know, but they usually just end up turning racist. Is how because we give them information that's like off of Twitter, and then they're like, "Oh, this is how you guys talk." Okay, and then they just say the N-word. You're like, "Whoa, okay."
It's like, you know, the science stuff. It's the coolest thing ever until all of a sudden it turns on you, and then it's not the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh, I created that and I did that." But
to be fair, those dogs are terrifying that they make. Like the way they move is unnatural and weird, and they're just like.
And if anybody's not sure what we're talking about, you know, clearly everybody knows Terminator and the T-1000.
We didn't
what prompted the whole discussion was the scientists just recently created shape-shifting robots that flow like liquid and harden like steel. They're essentially like the T-1000 in Terminator 2, and it can shape-shift and morph itself into different things, and you know, it's kind of limitless what it could do, because, you know, it's good, you know, they use it for, especially in the medical field, you know, they could put these little things inside your body, it could go around and kill cancer cells, and, you know, where you're not doing full-on chemotherapy across your whole body. You know, it's endless as far as what cool and awesome stuff it could do to help, you know, society out.
Yeah.
But then there's the flip side of this thing that can think on its own and morph from, you know, solid to liquid and back again and do whatever it wants. And it's kind of I don't want to say self-aware, but there's different things where they found that it accidentally changed, you know, they kind of programmed it to do a certain thing, and then it kind of did its own thing, not on accident, like it did it on purpose. And they're like, it's kind of thinking for itself, which is good, because, you know, then if you're using it for good and you're using it for medicine and doing this kind of stuff, you know, that's kind of what you'd want for it. But then the flip side is, you know, that arm's going to turn into a sword and it's going to stick it through the back of your head. You know, when you're looking for Jon Conner's step parents.
Wolfie's just fine.
Wolfie's just fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, I literally no worse than any like top dog like billionaire would do at the end of the day. Like, you know, there's always like a group that's like, oh, how could we weaponize this as far as like cool science goes? Like, I can never be excited long enough for like cool science, because they're always like, what if this thing killed thousands of people? Like, okay, well, thanks for ruining it.
Yeah, like
you know,
it's not, it's went too far, but it's just
it's like
crazy that they're like little kind of, I don't want to say subatomic, but, you know, but it's kind of like, you know, tiny little, like they described them as like hockey pucks. You know, they're kind of mechanical, they've got little things, but then they can, you know, they can hook onto each other, and then you can kind of program to do different things, and then they can, and then, you know, I sent you that video where they showed it looked like a little like Lego dude
guy
in like a jail cell, and he's inside and it's stuck in there, and then he basically just turns himself into liquid and goes through the bars and then re-solidifies after that. Yeah, melted itself and then reformed just like the T-1000 does in Terminator 2.
I mean, to be fair, this looks like it happens over like an hour.
It's not instant. But that's how it is now. What's it going to be like in, you know, 10 years, you know, 100 years, you know? Computers
used to be the size of a room, and now there's one a couple feet away from me, just that goes in my pocket. So who knows?
Just the way they can morph biology, and they, you know, it's kind of based on you know, embryos, you know, in the human body, you know, how, you know, a female grows a baby, you know, in her womb, and that thing is kind of creating itself, you know, inside the womb, and that's kind of what they're doing with this, you know. Except it's, you know, basically like metalish type stuff, you know.
I thought of the best application of this. and I think about this all the time, and it is always parking.
Mhm.
So city parking, if you watch like a documentary about like, or just anything in general about cities,
Mhm.
most of it is parking. And if we could have cars that can melt themselves down to like a cube, and then you could just store your car in a little thing, like it gets you there, and it goes like bloop, 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 and then like just liquefies, and then it like hardens to that like square, and then you could just shove it in like a little, or you just carry it with you. If it's like a
Mhm.
little basketball, you just put a strap on it, and you just carry your little
Mhm.
car that you took there, or like a motorcycle,
Uh-huh.
whatever, like that, or a mech suit. You can, oh, that'd be so much
Yeah.
cooler. wait, your car turns into it's a car first, and then this is so much fun. I'm so excited now.
Mm.
And so you have a motorcycle, you drive it to like, let's say Cleveland, you're like vroom, and then whatever, then all of a sudden, liquefy, all of a sudden that thing's a Segway. You're ready to go, baby. You're going to the flats. You're like, all right, I'm ready to go. It liquefies to a little block. You check it with bag check. That thing's done. It's out of the way.
Mhm.
No parking's needed. You can use that stuff for actual real estate, actual businesses. We're saving the economy, baby.
Yeah.
Or you know what? Green spaces, like maybe the it's not made of rubber anymore or something. We
Mhm.
don't need roads in some sort of way. They could figure out that. I think we're on our way to something here.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
saying, spitballing it.
Yeah. I mean, the positives are endless, but there's just that one giant negative.
Yeah, of them like, you know what? Maybe I feel like we do need to get as a species, maybe get a little taken down a notch.
Yeah,
We're getting a little cocky.
We're a little too big for our britches.
Yeah, we're like, what if we carved a McDonald's logo into the moon? We're like, all right,
Yeah.
get out of here.
Yeah. Where we're going, we don't need roads or roads.
Rudes. It's another one of those weird words. Yeah, I don't know. It's oh, I learned about a new cryptid. We don't have much time left, so I will make sure I get everything that I kind of put in. It's called the slide rock bolter.
Mhm.
And it came up on my feed, and I was just like, what? And it was a like minor, like 1860s cryptid.
Mhm.
And essentially it's when rogue travelers would go through an area, this thing would just pile drive down like the mountain and eat them up. And it like waited all day. It was just like whatever.
Mhm.
Essentially, it was just a rock slide that they couldn't understand.
Oh,
But
okay.
I just thought it was really cool because it basically just looks like a giant whale fish, like
Uh-huh.
like kind of like a blubber fish, whatever. But it
Uh-huh.
was just kind of, and it just kind of goes and like and it like swallows you up and then like takes its time back up. But I just thought it was really funny because it just looks like a beached whale, and then they're like, oh, watch out for the slide rock bolter. I just thought it was really cool, and I was just like, "Oh, new cryptid I've never ever heard about in my entire life."
Is that kind of exclusive to one geographical area, or?
Oh, it's probably Utah. I'm gonna go ahead and say it was Utah. Just one of those, like, whenever you think of cowboy, wherever that was, like Colorado or whatever, New Mexico,
out west.
wherever there's just a lot of rocky terrain. I assume wherever John Wayne was close to in all of his movies. Just dry.
You mean on a movie set in Los Angeles? Is that?
Yeah. He's specifically Los Angeles. That's what the Hollywood sign is. It's just a big slide rock bolter. Just I don't know. It's been a weird week. But I've been we're getting through it. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, I don't know. Technology's cool, and it's gonna be rad, and hopefully it doesn't kill us in the end. And that's just fine if it does.
We'll have to do an update episode, a couple of years from now, and see how the nanotechnology is working out for us.
Oh, you mean when we're in the outer lands and in our dusters surviving on bottle caps alone?
And we come back on and we're like, Monster Soup episode, it's 12,057. We were right. Those nanorobots took over everything. Run for your lives.
Sorry for having to eat your arm last week, Brian. It's okay. I didn't need it anyway.
We had our opportunity to stop it, and we didn't take it.
Yeah.
Because Dave wanted to turn his scooter into something he could put in his pocket.
Listen, I just want to travel comfortably. I just want to have a mech suit one time in my life.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't have mech suits right now as a thing, as like a society, like as a thing that like even just like mech fights, like as a sport, is criminal and un-American.
Yeah.
like it shouldn't be BattleBots shouldn't be just like little like Roombas with knives on them. BattleBots, the show, should be two dudes in giant mech suits just punching each other. Just bolts should be flying, and I just want to see the Mike Tyson Holyfield fight, but with robots, and then just like, are you voting for Gleep Glorp or Bigglebop 2000?
Yeah, like, and they're like, Beep Borp just bit the ear off, and it's totally allowed.
It doesn't ruin his reputation because he's not real.
I won't have to call the cable company, demand my $60 back because it never got past the second round. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I should have returned our Netflix account after that last fight with Tyson. It's like,
dude, that was kind of free-ish because it was on Netflix, you know.
Yeah, I know, but dude, that dude barely showed up for that. He's like, I don't have to prove nothing to anybody. I'm like, could you prove like a little bit of yourself? Like, just like a little bit to somebody. Listen, you have your legacy, and that's fine. But like, what was that? He's like, I grabbed him, and I was so tired. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine, Tyson. So we're gonna call it early because we gotta go downtown, and it's gonna be a fun time, and we're gonna see the monsters, and we're gonna, I don't know, do that whole thing, and hopefully get blasted. Is it the same situation where we can drink until the puck drop, or is it a different thing?
I think we can drink the whole time.
Look at us. We're winners.
and I think there's free food too. Yeah.
Let's have how many hot dogs?
We're gonna be balling, yeah.
We're gonna
next week's episode. We're gonna have an update on who won the hot dog eating contest.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna have diabetes when you get back here. I'm just gonna have a rascal. I'm gonna come back in a rascal scooter. Just like, I won the thing. Listen, that thing I was training for is off. I have type 3 diabetes.
Yeah, Scott put in the chat. He's like, "Is it Fit Friday, Dave?" Not this Friday.
Listen, Scott, I've been working out like every day since like last Saturday. I've just got on my stuff like for real this time.
All the gains are going to be gone this evening. They're gonna plop out of me. My man boobs are gonna shoot out. Just it's gonna be ridiculous. But you know what? Feeling great, doing great. Summer's almost around the corner. I can feel the air in Ohio coming back. I can see the sky splitting with the clouds, and the sun's coming down upon me. And I saw the sun the other day. It was fantastic.
I know. You go outside, it's like a surprise. Like every time I go outside to like take the dog out or something, I'm like, what happened? Who's president? It's like one of those, what year is it?
It's like, it's spring. The big gray cloud finally like left, and now the sun's back.
It's just like, oh god, I don't know how people in like London do it. I think it's like cloudy there like all the time. I just like would never go outside. It's like the only time I'm like motivated to like live a little bit. Like I like being inside. I've realized that like I like being a hermit a bit, but like it's just I do actually. There's a time when like my wife gets really motivated in this time mainly because she's the teacher and that's like her time off. But like usually means like, hey Dave, I need you to move this rock from here to here for like 3 months straight, and because she's always like gardening, and I'm just like, and she has a bad back, so like I have to do all the like a really heavy lifting, and I'm like, I just like go outside after work. I'm like, it's so nice. She's like, okay, I need you to help me now, and I'm like, no, because it's always lifting the heaviest thing that we own. She's like, could you move this pot from the front yard to the backyard? And it's never like a little pot. It's like a back-breakingly large pot, and I'm like, yes, I can, and I love you so much.
Yeah, we got a couple pots that are so big, I didn't realize they sold them that big. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like what are you putting? You could put a body in there. What's going on?
Yeah. Are you hiding bodies?
Yeah.
You find out that's it. The God
like,
killer.
She's like, Brian, could you climb in here real quick for me? No,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It needs cleaned. It needs polished. That's how the plants grow. Be like, I don't know if that's the thing, but get in there.
Nope. Not doing that.
She flashes her gun. Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, thanks for coming over for Tomfoolery this Friday. Join us every Friday. at 5:00. We're live every Friday, as needed. Who knows what the summer will bring, but we'll try to do our best. If you have any fun stories you want to come share, just come chat with us. You can join us. Give me an email at monstersouppodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook at Monster Soup Podcast at Facebook. You know the deal there. Check out my absolute nonsense that's on TikTok at Mischief Factory. That's Mischief with 2 F's. Mischief Factory with 2 F's. So Mischief and then another F, just to make sure that you don't 1 F of that. And then look at my daily drawings if you want. Brian, you can check him out at the strip club. He'll be the one with the pineapple juice and covered in ones, because he's doing a good job that night. He goes by the Big Bambino.
Yeah, hey, man. You can't have too many side hustles. That's
yeah, he does that and gardening. So, but yeah, thanks for joining us. The kitchen is closed for conversation, but we appreciate you. Thanks for coming and doing all the things. And yeah, so we'll see you next week.
See you
later, guys.